Okay, our next topic is the IUCN categories. We are discussing the plant ecology and the geography chapter, and under this particular chapter, we have to study the different aspects relating with the ecology. Okay, in that regarding, we have discussed lots of the topics, and now we will focus on the IUCN categories. Okay, now see, this is your syllabus. We are dealing with the paper number 2 and the chapter number 5, that is ecology and the plant geography. And we are here at the IUCN categories. Okay, before that, we have completed all of these topics and they are already available on the channel. Okay, now consider the first introductory slide. See how many species do really exist on the earth and how many of them are found in the India. This is the question. Now, when we talk about the worldwide species composition, this is very difficult to understand. Okay, because we don't know the exact number. Okay, we don't have exact number of the species which are present on the mother earth, because the research is going on daily basis, and on day to day basis we are finding the new species, and these species are on day to day basis described by the scientist, and new addition is continuously going on. That is why we cannot say the fixed number of the species on the mother earth, which was found on the mother earth or which are going to found on the mother earth, or simply what is the species number of India. That is too very difficult to understand, because India is a quite a biodiversity rich country, and many endemic species are here which are yet to get described. So basically we don't know the exact number of the species on the mother earth, right? And hence we cannot calculate how many species we are going to find on the mother earth or even on the India. Now it is very difficult to come the consensus about the exact number of the species that were present on the mother earth today. Okay, that is why we are saying that the research is going on, and on day to day basis we are finding the new species. So the number of the species we know and the number of species actually present on the mother earth has the significant difference. Okay, and that is why we have to wait all till there is a finding of all the species which are present on the mother earth. Now through over 1.5 million species have been documented by the IUCN. Okay, now see, whatever we have found so far, they are 1.5 million species. Okay, so basically 1.5 million species, their naming and documentation we have with us, but how many species are yet to discover, that is unknown. Okay, so how many going to add into this particular number, we don't know about that number, and hence the exact number of species which are present on the mother earth, it is very difficult to calculate. Now these 1.5 million species are actually documented by the IUCN, and the long form of IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature and the Natural Resources. This data is coming from the 2004 book of the IUCN. So basically the number is much higher till the 2021, but whatever the number we are using this number from the 2004 notings. Okay, so the IUCN, that is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, has calculated the 1.5 million species are there which are yet founded and documented in our research. Okay, so we are yet to find and study a lot more than these, because there are many unknown species on the mother earth and many going to add into this particular number. So basically what you have to understand here, that we so far we know 1.5 million species are there on the mother earth which are known to the humankind. Now we were aware of the threat to the diversity, right, and the loss of the species from the mother earth. We know, we have discussed the different aspect regarding the biodiversity loss. In the biodiversity loss, you know, there is a loss of the habitat, and due to the loss of habitat, there is a loss of species. The species like the dinosaurs, we have already find them extinct, right? The species of the Rhynia plant is already a extinct species. We have discussed this particular extinct plant. So these types of the examples are there, which shows us that already Earth is going through the difficult times, and through these difficult times, we have lost many of the original species which were there, and now they were extinct. Okay, now when any species is totally eliminated from the earth, it is called as extinct. Okay, this word is very important, extinct. That literally means the species is present on the earth for some period of time, but now it is not present on the earth. All the member of this species has vanished from the mother earth. For example, the dinosaurs were there on the mother earth, but now they were extinct due to some or another reason. So dinosaur is considered as an extinct species. So whenever we say extinct, it is not present on the mother earth anymore. Now, when the number of the members of the species starts dwindling, see, we said it is endangered. Okay, if some species number it starts to decline, okay, it starts to getting lower, then we use the term called as the endangered. Okay, so there is a basic difference between these two terms, that is extinct and the endangered. Extinct literally means no member of that species is present on the mother earth, for example dinosaur, and endangered means the species number is less, but still the species is present on the mother earth. That is why there is a significant difference between the extinct and the endangered, and that is why in today's topic, that is the IUCN categories, we are going to study these types of the terms which are there to describe the species. And these are terms literally show what is the position, or what is the biodiversity level characteristics of this species, which type of species is that, what is the number of that species, whether it is found in a more quantity or the less quantity, or whether it is endemic or whether it is found throughout the world. All of these kinds of the information is there within this particular terms, and that is why we have to study in detail the IUCN categories, because IUCN likes to categorize the plant, and these categories shows the different aspects regarding that particular plant. Okay, so the IUCN maintains the red data book. Okay, we have to study the red data book separately as well. So these red data books are maintained by the IUCN, and they were also known as the red list, and where a conservation status of the plants and animal is recorded. Okay, how we are going to conserve these plants and animals, so this whole record is maintained under this particular red data book. Okay, it is also called as the red list. So for example, if any species is present in the red list of the IUCN, this red list will show you all the efforts regarding the conservation of that particular plant or the animal species. Okay, see, when we talk about the IUCN, it is considering all the flora as well as the fauna. That is, all the plant material plus the animal material is considered under this particular red data book or the IUCN categories. So it is not separately for the plant, but it is for the whole of the biodiversity. Okay, so IUCN, they maintain the red data book or the red list, and this red list shows how, which type of the conservation efforts or conservation status is going on for that particular plant or the animal species. Okay, now consider, see, after a given species has been thoroughly evaluated, it is placed into the one of the following several categories. Okay, so once the species is found, for example, the species A we have found, and all the characteristics of this species we have studied. Okay, then the IUCN goes through that species, and according to the status of that species, they will categorize this particular species A. Now, how they are going to categorize, or which of the categories are there for the IUCN? Okay, that all we have to study one by one. Now, consider the very first one, that is the extinct. Now, we have described regarding the term extinct that the species is no more available on the Mother Earth. Then such a species can be categorized as a extinct species of the IUCN. So, extinct is a designation applied to the species in which the last individual has died or is not recorded. Okay, so for example, if the any species is there, for example, Rhynia is there, and no member of the Rhynia is left on the Mother Earth, so this species is completely under the category called as the extinct. It had extinct from the Mother Earth. Okay, no record were found. So the Rhynia, which is a pteridophyte, is the extinct species of the plant. So you can mention this example in the mains examination to justify your answer, that there is a one IUCN category which is called as the extinct category, and extinct literally means this is not, the species is not present on the Mother Earth anymore. Okay, for example, the Rhynia species. Now consider the IUCN, which is the system uses the set of the 5 quantitative criteria. Now, whenever we talk about the different categories of the IUCN, these are different categories of the IUCN were placed according to some of the quantitative criteria. Okay, actually there are 5 basic criteria to assess the extinction risk of the given species. For example, in the earlier slide, we have said that the Rhynia is a extinct species. So how we are going to quantify, what is the criteria of quantification? How we are deciding that the Rhynia is the extinct species, or it is near extinction, or it is endangered species, or it's a vulnerable species? How we are going to decide that? So there are basically 5 quantitative criteria. See, these criteria are the rate of the population decline, how the species is getting declined day by day. This is the first criteria. Okay, then it's geographical range, throughout the world in which geographical range they were found. Okay, whether they are endemic or whether they are typically found in the hotspots, that is also recorded. Then in the third criteria, the whether the species is already possess a small population size after the studying, whether it is going to decline, or which geographical area is there for this particular species. Then we will go through the how small population size is there, or if the plant species is already in a small population size. Then in the fourth, whether the species is very small or lives in a restricted area, that is, the population of a species is lower, plus also it has a very small geographical area on which it lives. So if the geographical area is got lost, this particular species will get extinct. Then the whether the result of a quantitative analysis indicates the high probability of extinction in the wild, that too we have to consider, because after considering all of these 4 criteria, then lastly we should consider that whether this particular species is going to extend from the wild. Then and only then we can actually quantify the category of the IUCN. Once you study all of these 5 categories, these are five categories will show you that where to place this particular species, whether to place it in a extinct category, or whether to place it in a least concern category, or may it come in between like the threatened, okay, or the unassessed. So these are five criteria were used by the IUCN to categorize the plant species. And rhinia, when we take the example of rhinia, simply the rhinia is no more found on the mother earth, and hence it is rightfully placed in the extinct group. Okay, so IUCN done this through the five quantitative criteria, and these five quantitative criteria are very essential to apply to place a particular species in the particular IUCN category. Okay, so in the first category of the extinct, we have placed the rhinia. Okay, now consider the second one, that is extinct in the wild. The very first was the extinct, that literally means no member of that particular species is found on the mother earth. Now in the second, we have the extinct in the wild. Okay, that is, it is the particular species is no more found in the wild, but they were under the human observations only. That is, whatever the species is there in the wild, it is completely wiped out, it is vanished from the wild, but under the human observation it is still alive. Okay, now categories containing those species whose number is survives only in the captivity. For example, there is a species A, okay, and this species A was earlier found in the forest as well, okay, in the wild areas as well, and at the same time we have this particular species in the botanical garden as well. Okay, but what happens suddenly in the from the forest and from the wild, this species has got vanished. Okay, no member is found in the wild habitat. Only the some members were alive there, but they were placed in the botanical garden, that is under the captivity. So such a species can be placed as a extinct in wild. Okay, it got extinct in the wild, but still that species is present on the mother earth, but under the human observation or under the human care. For example, and in the botanical garden. So the species can be described as a extinct in the wild. Okay, this is our second category, that is extinct in the wild, and this extinct in the wild is the species which is still present on the mother earth under the captivity or under the human care in the botanical garden, but it is extinct from the wild. Okay, so this is second IUCN category, in which we say the species is yet present on the mother earth, but it is not found in the wild areas, only under the human observation. Now the third one is the critically endangered. Okay, this is the third category, which is called as the critically endangered, is a category containing those species that possess extremely high risk of extinction. That is, for example, there is a species A, and species A has only the 50 members, and these 50 members are also very, very susceptible for the extinction. There is a high risk of extinction, whether there are the anthropogenic activities responsible for it or any natural cause responsible for it. There can be the many causes for the extinction of a particular species. So critically endangered plants are those plants which are near to the extinction, or they are facing extremely high risk of the extinction. So in such a case, we should add more extra work to conserve that particular species. So there are many critically endangered species in throughout the world as well as in the India, that these species needs the very strict conservation. So whatever the species which is on the verge of the extinction, or which is having the extremely high risk of the extinction, and very few surviving members are there, then we categorize that particular species as a critically endangered category of the IUCN. So under the critically endangered species, there are very few members. For example, only the 50 members are left, and these 50 members are also very sensitive to the environment or to the anthropogenic activities. Then it is showing the very high risk of extinction. Then such a plants can be placed under the IUCN category of critically endangered. Okay, now consider the fourth one. The fourth one is the endangered. Okay, in the third one we have understood about the critically endangered. Now in the fourth one we are understanding the endangered species. Now endangered species is denoted by the EN. Okay, here we have the endangered species. Now these are designations applied to the species that possess the very high risk of extinction as a result of the rapid decline of 50 to more than 70% of our previous year or the last 3 generations. So basically, if last 50 to 70% of the number is decline of the species, or say since last 3 generations this species is continuously decline, then in such a condition we will categorize such a species as a endangered species of the IUCN category. Now this particular endangered, meaning the species is rapidly declining in number. Okay, you should consider here, for example, the 1000 number is there earlier, but suddenly it came to 300, then 50 to 70% has already lost, and plus last 3 generations is continuously showing declining in the number of such a species, then we should categorize that species as a endangered species. So we have to look forward for this species, but still, yet the number is good, sufficient sufficiently maintained in the wild as well as in the captivity. So we will classify this particular category as a endangered category. Now, in a critically endangered category, we have the very low number of the members. Okay, for example, 50 or less number is there in the critically endangered plant species. But when we say endangered, it's 50 to 70% members are declining since last few years or last three generations. Then and only then we can categorize it as a endangered species or the IUCN category of the endangered. Okay, so here we can place them under the endangered once the few generations showing the declining in the number. Okay, then the fifth category is the vulnerable. Okay, and vulnerable is denoted by the VU. Here you can understand the vulnerable species. Okay, now see a category of containing those species that possess a very high risk of extinction as a result of the rapid population decline of 30 to more than 50% over the previous last 10 years, okay, or the three generations. So in the last 10 years, it's 30 to 50% of the number is got reduced or declined, then in such a case, we say the species is vulnerable. There is a difference between the endangered and the vulnerable. In the endangered level, the species is declining at the very rapid rate of the 50 to 70%. But here, the 30 to 50% rate of declining is there, and that is why we will classify them as a vulnerable. That is, these species are very vulnerable for the extinction because slowly, since last 10 years, their number is continuously declining. So our last three generations showing the continuous decline in the number. Then we will say such a species as a vulnerable species. But one thing you should remember that you should be able to distinguish between the endangered species and the vulnerable species. Okay, vulnerable species are those species whose number is declining 30 to 50% since the last 10 years. Okay, but in the endangered category, this number is 50 to 70%. Okay, which is declining over a period of time. So here there is a basic difference between the endangered and the vulnerable. Okay, so these are the fourth and the fifth categories of the IUCN, that is the endangered and the vulnerable. Now consider the sixth one, that is near threatened, that's NT. Okay, this is called as the near threatened, that is NT. Designation applied to the species that are close to becoming threatened or may meet the criteria for threatened status in the near future. So whatever the species are there which are going to get threatened themselves, or they can be in the near future, they can be under the vulnerable or in the endangered category, then such a species are called as the near threatened. Okay, that is, the species is very well maintained in the wild, it is also very well maintained in the captivity, but still there are some chances that in the near future this species is going to be in the category of the vulnerable or the or the endangered species or the critical endangered species. Then in such a case, we classify this particular species as a near endangered, near threatened species of the IUCN categories. Okay, now the seventh one is the least concern. Okay, see, this is the seventh one, least concern. This is a category containing the species that are pervasive and abundant after the careful assessment. Now, if you are searching for the species A, for example, and you have studied in the wild, you will find many members of this species in the wild. Okay, these are also found. There are many species which are also found in the forest. There are many species which are also found in the botanical garden. So the number of species are very high. So this species is of the least concern. Okay, we don't have to worry about that particular species, and that is why we are using the designation as the least concern. Okay, so this is the category of the IUCN, that is the least concern category, which we don't have to take much load about because they were already present in a very large quantity, and we don't have to give much effort regarding their conservation. But if you look at this particular categories, you will come to know that extinct species is quite a species for which we cannot do anything. Okay, because it is already extinct. But whatever the critically endangered species are there, or near future endangered species are there, vulnerable species are there, for this category we can do something. Okay, and the last one, don't have to worry about this because the number is already very well maintained in the nature. Okay, so the very first category and the last category, we don't have to do much effort regarding that. But whatever the five in between categories are there, we have to look forward these categories in order to conserve this particular plant species, whether it's the in situ conservation or the ex situ conservation. Okay, both the types of the conservation strategies can be applied to save these particular five kinds of the IUCN. Okay, so you should carefully remember all of these seven. Right now, consider the eighth one, that is the data deficient. Now, when we say data deficient, this is the extra category which is added later. It is a condition applied to a species which amount of the available data related to risk of extinction is lacking in the some way. That is, for example, we have the species A, and this particular species A, we don't know much about it. Okay, we don't know the number in the wild. Okay, we don't know their conservation status, and it is newly found species. So we can say there is a less data regarding this particular species, and that is why this species can be placed into the data deficient category. That is, not much is known about this particular plant species. But once we acquire the data of this particular plant species, we can place them out of these seven categories. Okay, and that is why these are seven categories of the main categories of the IUCN. But once we found a new species and we don't have much data, so for now, for some period of time, this particular species is placed in the data deficient category. But after the acquiring of a data, this particular species must become under any one of these seven categories. Okay, now the last one is the not evaluated. Okay, any there it is designated as not evaluated. This category used to include any nearby 1.9 million species described by the scientists but not yet assessed by the IUCN. Okay, so the species is already discovered. For example, 1.5 million species are already described, but it is yet to be described by the IUCN. So before deciding by the IUCN, we cannot place these particular plant species under any of these categories. Okay, IUCN must go through the species, and then and only then we can place them in any one of these seven categories. So if it is not evaluated by the IUCN, we cannot consider this particular species, and hence it is rightfully called as the not evaluated. Okay, so these are the 9 IUCN categories actually. So these are the 9 IUCN categories which are showing us that how to categorize the IUCN species. Okay, the 7 are the main categories, and last 2 are the data deficient and the not evaluated categories. Okay, so this is all about this particular topic.